All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to the 2021 annual meeting for the Potomac Curling Club. Thank you for taking the time today to join us virtually so we can talk about the past year and also talk about what the plans are for next year. A few quick reminders, our agenda. Again, we're going to talk about the year in review. We'll have our member awards. We'll go over the election results. And then we'll talk about our outlook for the future for next season. And I'll tell you right now, we do intend to open for fall 2021, pending local conditions, of course. But right now, we do plan to open. We'll take a quick 10-minute break, grab some snacks, grab some drinks, and then we'll talk about our long-term planning. What are we going to do for the next 20 years? Because it's past time to start talking about that as a whole club and picking what direction we want to go. For today's meeting, please do keep your video off and your microphone muted to save on bandwidth and help with echo cancellation. You can submit your comments and questions in the Zoom chat, where you can pick to send it to everyone, or you can pick to send it just to Potomac Curling Club, and then I will see that privately. If you wish to have the floor and you'd like to address the group, you can raise your hand using the reactions button. So click on reactions and then click on raise hand. If you are on a portable device or a phone, it may be a little different. First off, I want to give a huge thank you to our current board of directors. I was privileged enough to sit as the president this year with the rest of my executive board, Lauren Luthi, J.R. Groves, and Jennifer Martinelli. And of course, this year we had Joe, Janice, Bruce, Deelot, Craig, Judy, and Jacob filling out the rest of the board. As a team, I felt like we did a pretty good job this year, dealing with some uncertainty that we've never encountered and helping to guide us all through this a year, unfortunately, without curling, but with plenty going on. For this past year, these were our areas of responsibility for the record. Most board members served on 2 or 3 different areas. I do want to acknowledge Craig, who was our chair of the operations committee, and Janice, who was the chair of our finance committee. In addition to that, Adam Kapp served as our GNCC rep, Dawn Finley served as our USWCA rep, and I was your USCA representative. Ben Keene served as chair of the nominating committee, Bruce Black, chair of the Capital Improvement Committee, and Lauren Luthi was the chair of our COVID-19 advisory group. Talking about COVID, of course, what happened this past season? We established our COVID-19 advisory group led by Lauren Luthi. We sent out a member survey, and I want to thank everyone for responding to that survey. We had a 66% response rate, which is amazing for a group like ours. It's amazing for pretty much any survey that you want to send out. That really helped contribute to giving us an informed decision about how everyone felt moving into fall 2020. In August, we were unable to come to a decision, so we voted to postpone installing ice until September. In September, after a very long discussion, we voted to remain closed until January. And then finally in November, that's when we finally pulled the trigger and voted to remain closed for all of 2020 and 2021. Also for COVID, we participated in support of the Club Nationals COVID-19 study led by 2 of our Potomac members, Dr. Paul Luthi and Dr. Laura Yee. We actually got an 85% participation rate in that study. That includes both participants from around the country and our volunteers, which was, again, an incredible response rate. Thank you to everyone who supported that study and contributed to not only informing our club, but informing curling across the nation and across the world. For membership this year, we of course were down somewhat. We had 150 folks join us as a full adult member. That's down 82. And we had 27 folks join with a leave of absence membership, for a total of 187 members, which was down 223 from last year. These numbers are, of course, not surprising, given that we did not open this season, but I do want to thank everyone who joined as a member and participated in our board meetings, contributed to our events, that we will go over as we continue our year in review. The membership trends, of course, are not surprising. We plummeted after last year. We, of course, hope to see all of our members return next year with some new members and see that trend line go way up. Another interesting thing we did this year was we concluded the league registration working group. We started this last curling season and finished out phases 3 and 4 this year. In May, we had the final proposal workshop, and then in June, we had final presentations. Approximately 100 of our members responded to the survey, asking for how you would rank the 7 different proposals that were out there. In general, 2/3 of respondees looked for a ranked choice or a lottery system as their top preference, and about 1/3 of members said, no, let's use a first come, first serve system like our current system. So moving forward, we will be pursuing a ranked choice or lottery system. Member Services Group is finalizing what that's going to look like, and we expect to have a formal proposal in place for the May or June board meeting. Thank you to all of our proposals who put in a lot of time and effort to come up with a detailed plan to really think through what all of the options would look like. So thank you to Kyle, Christine, Adam, Nick, Russ, and Andrea. Our Capital Improvement Committee continued this year. A big milestone was the completion of our feasibility study that was completed in February of 2021. We contracted with a company called Mans Woodward to perform an evaluation of our current facility, to identify potential problems or areas we can improve, and to also estimate the costs for renovation and or expansion. It's actually 56 pages of great information, and we will go into this feasibility study more in detail in the last part of today's meeting as we talk about our outlook for the future. Big accomplishment this year was a new chiller. Thank you to our operations team, and you'll see Craig, Ken, and Eric were there for the installation. Our old chiller kept having faults and was hard to get parts for, and was using an old cooling system that was not environmentally friendly and was more expensive to get more of. So we went ahead and invested in a new chiller. Cost about $135,000. We did earn a $5,000 Darwin Curtis grant to support that chiller and the installation. So we are ready to go for this season, and we were ready to go for last season, and we look forward to breaking in our new chiller. I do want to take a moment to talk about diversity and inclusion, to acknowledge the work that has been done by previous members of this board and by our entire membership in supporting everyone, supporting all races, all genders, all sexual orientations, and all ages. We have done a decent job in some areas, but we need to improve our outreach. We need to continue to acknowledge the current makeup of not only our own club, but of the curling community at large. And we need to not only allow for diversity and inclusion, but we need to foster diversity and inclusion. This is obviously an ongoing conversation that we will continue to work on and address as we move forward this summer and as we move into the fall with our Olympic season. I do want to talk a little bit about your concerns and club safety. First is, you have the right to feel safe at our club. You have the right to voice your concerns in a safe environment. And we ask that you do bring your concerns to the board or a lead coordinator so that we can be made aware of them. If you wish, you are of course welcome to remain anonymous in discussing with us your concerns about the environment our club creates and how we can improve our club and make everyone feel welcome and safe. I talk about this because last curling season, we did have 1 or 2 concerns that were brought to the board. And we felt that one of those concerns as a board, we handled pretty successfully. We were able to talk about the concerns in a closed session and kind of help the situation and make sure that everyone was feeling safe. There was another situation where we found some ways we need to improve, ways we need to make sure that you, our members, feel supported and that you feel that our club is a safe environment. So coming soon will be who to contact signage around our club so that you know who to go to, you know who the resources are. And of course, all information will be kept confidential and discussed only in a closed session with the board. We want to respect your privacy and make sure that, again, you feel that you can bring any concern to the board to help make you feel safe and to make our club a safe environment for everyone. Some additional milestones. We purchased the Zoom system for our meetings, and we actually replaced our landline phone with a Zoom phone to save us some money. The USCA is also making some membership changes on their end of the system. You probably saw the initial rollout of a system called Sport 80. Gosh, when was that? That was January? I honestly don't remember. And then you saw it be rolled back due to some problems with the system. So we are waiting to hear from the USCA on the next steps for them for the Sport 80 system. One change is that individuals can now register with the USCA directly without being a member of a curling club. There are ongoing discussions about the insurance program that the USCA offers and the year insurance program that the GNCC offers. We continue to opt into the GNCC program. We may in the future be forced to go with the USCA program, but we are monitoring that situation. Let's talk about events. We had a boatload of virtual events this year. Thank you to our events and member services teams who worked together to organize all of our virtual events. Started off with a Glitter Bombspiel fundraiser hosted by Kyle that raised $3,700 for local, regional, and national LGBTQ organizations. Lauren hosted a craft and draft night, and then Christine and I hosted the first trivia night. Paint and Sip with Jen, a wonderful history of PCC panel hosted by Joe Rockenbach with many of our longtime members talking about kind of the history of the club and their experience. A macaron night with Judy. That was a lot of fun, although my macarons did not get feet, and I have yet to attempt them again, but it's on my list. Kyle hosted a trivia night. Thank you to Jacob for a cherry blossom fun run. And thank you to Gila and Kyle, who ran the prediction contest. And I think there's one going on right now for the current event. So if you are participating, thank you for participating. And thank you to everyone who came out for all of these events. I know whenever I logged in, it was wonderful to see everyone because we haven't been able to meet at the club all year. So thank you to everyone who hosted. Thank you to everyone who participated. And thank you to all of our organizers. Brief look at next year. We are planning on hosting the 2021 Senior Women's Friendship Tour. It is a one-day event. And then we are beginning to put together the calendar for our own events. And we need your help. If you have an idea for a theme for Embassy Row, if you would like to bring your cooking talents to the table or your organization talents to our club, we would love to have you and have you host the Embassy Row Bonspiel with lots of help and support. So please reach out to us if you are interested. It's time to get these things rolling. We haven't done a Thanksgiving event in a while, but if there's interest, we'd love to have one. And of course, Big Spiel and Cherry Blossom will hopefully be on the calendar. Next year is also an Olympic year. Comes around every 4 years. Seems like the last one was a while ago, but it comes again. February 4th to 20th, 2022. Olympics is going to be a great opportunity for us to re-engage with our local community, to grow our membership, and to solicit donations and sponsorships for any addition or expansion plans. This is going to be a critical time for us to bring everyone on board, get all the gears turning so that we can raise as much money as we can to support addition and expansion options. Member services, of course, is responsible for our communications piece. We have 1,800 followers on Facebook, 1,300 followers on Twitter, and 619 on Instagram. The monthly member newsletter will be returning weekly once curling starts again. And all of this is only possible because of our amazing social media team. Thank you to everyone who helps out with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It's not just one person, it's actually a whole team of 8 people who help manage our social media presence and keep us engaged with the curling community. Next year, we do look, of course, to roll out the new league registration process. Testing this summer for a fall rollout. Programming help is needed and appreciated. The COVID-19 advisory group will be working on a recommendation this summer. We do, of course, plan to open based contingent upon local regulations. If you have any questions or comments, you can email the board or you can email the COVID-19 advisory group at curldc.org. If you would like to join the group, of course, please email that address and we will get you on board. League and program coordinators, you will be contacted shortly within the next few weeks by member services to see if you are interested in continuing to host your league or program. We always appreciate your efforts in coordinating our leagues, which are the core of our facility. Operations, of course, the club has been shut down since March of 2020. The ice meltdown tasks were performed in April by a small group of people. The new chiller was installed in September, and during the downtime, routine club maintenance has been performed primarily by Ken Ray and Eric Clausen, who have taken care of everything that needs to be taken care of, even though we don't have any ice. Like, we still have a facility, it still needs to be taken care of. We need to carefully monitor our equipment and exercise it. And a huge thank you to Ken Ray and Eric Clausen, who have performed all the usual summer work party tasks and kept our facilities safe all year long. The summer work party schedule is currently in draft form. It will depend largely on facility access over the summer and on, do we feel like we can make it safe for members to contribute during our summer work parties. Our ice building date is TBD, but it usually starts around September 1st. We, of course, will need your help with this. We're looking for member help, so keep an eye on the newsletters. Or if you would like to be more deeply involved, please reach out to us. We would love to have your support. There will be new processes in place to limit the number of participants we need for intensive jobs like painting. You know, those times we needed to have 10 people at the club previously. Hopefully we will not need as many folks. And if you were previously on an ice team, we would love to have you return and hope you will return in the fall on the ice teams. If you are interested in learning or being on a new ice team, let us know. We will be happy to have you. Sales and marketing. Rentals. We, of course, didn't have any rentals this year, but we do expect pent-up demand for 2021, 2022. Rentals actually bring in 15 to 20% of our annual income, up to $50,000 a year. Rentals are an important part of our income stream. We might be looking at a member rental deposit. Previously, member rentals have not had to have a deposit. We did have a few of those cancel on us last minute, so we weren't able to use those slots and lost out on a significant chunk of income. We are considering more rental dates on weekday mornings and afternoons, but that is, of course, dependent upon you, our members, and how our volunteers are feeling. So we will honestly, if we don't have your support and we don't have the volunteers, we won't do it. But rentals are a huge opportunity for us to engage with our community, to engage with business partners, and to raise funds for our club. We are amazingly also celebrating our 60th anniversary of being the Potomac Curling Club from 1961 to 2021. We are celebrating with a 60th anniversary pin. You can see it on the screen here, and it will be available next season. A few brief governance notes. Safe Sport continues to evolve. We, of course, keep an eye. All of our board members do have Safe Sport certification, and many of our youth coordinators and coaches do as well. A few reminders for everyone about locker room procedures. We will likely have the same procedures as a year ago, where minors are not allowed into the locker room while adults are in there, and vice versa. Any interaction with a minor should be observable and interruptible. And if there is any minor involved, there must be at least 2 adults. So for example, if you are coming to the club and you're the first adult there, you do not unlock the door until there is a second adult, or you do not let anyone else in until there is a second adult. There are no bylaws changes proposed this year, so we will not have a vote on that, which is wonderful. Let's talk finances. So this year, we budgeted 30,000 in income and 72,000 in expenses, July to June. We had more income than expected due to an individual donation of $100,000 to support our chiller. So our income was a little higher than expected, and our expenses were a little lower than expected, which of course is always what we want. In terms of assets, we have approximately $500,000 in unrestricted cash assets right now, including about $100,000 in multiple rainy day CDs. We have about $46,000 in restricted funds and cash assets, including our concrete floor fund from many years ago, an ice maker training fund, and our youth white fund. Our total liabilities is actually down to only $200 after a lot of effort this year from our finance team to kind of close out those remaining bonds that have not been collected. There is one final remaining matured bond, and all of this is due to huge thank you to you, our members, for supporting our community during this COVID closure, and for your past support during the past 10 years to put us in such strong financial shape. In case you are wondering, like I was when I saw the numbers, we are down about $100,000 in cash assets from our peak in April 2020. And the practical explanation of that was we had about $30,000 in new chiller expenses not covered by a donation and USDA grant awards. About $20,000 in facility costs this year, expenses versus income. $20,000 in costs from last year between April and July, and then about $20,000 in feasibility study payments, things that we were already liable for because we contracted for it with Vance Woodward, but we actually paid out those expenses during this year. So that explains our cash position, which is still very, very strong. Technology. We do plan on continuing to use the Curling Manager system, which is our website and membership and league system that we are used to. We've used it for about 4 years, I think. We will continue to use the new external registration system for Saturday morning breakfast and for open houses. This is a different system called RegFox that is accessible to the public. So we do anticipate using and expanding our use of RegFox for our public events. We do need some programming help. Some of our legacy PHP systems, we're running PHP 5 and they are not compatible with PHP 7. We need to update some of the database pointers to work with the new PHP 7 system. If you are a PHP coder, we would love to have your help for a week or two to help convert those systems over so that we can upgrade ourselves from PHP 5 to PHP 7. We are also archiving our legacy website. That's all of our WordPress content and all of our original website content that hosts about 15 years worth of Bonspiel results and other information. Thank you to Russ Kirkman, who is taking the lead on this, on converting all of that into an archive-friendly format so that we no longer have to maintain those systems. If you are interested in helping No programming experience is required for this. It's mostly downloading pages, saving as a PDF, or saving the images in a folder structure. So if you are interested in helping, please reach out. We could use your help to complete this project and make sure that we don't lose that information. Let's talk training. There wasn't a lot of training this year. We do anticipate for next year a strong demand for curling 201 style and intermediate curling programs. We hope to have a pebbling clinic at the end of the summer, and we may have an instructor or a coaching clinic. The previous curling season, there were too many in the area, and so we were unable to secure someone from USCA to come out and host one of those courses. So we will look into doing that this year. There may be some integration with practice ice, opportunities to get training on how to time, how to be an official, and some strategy clinics. The training team is looking at single-day skills clinics, so they don't take up too much of your time. An open question is, how can we best use Learn to Curl events? Do we need more for the Olympic year? Do we need less? Should we charge more? Should we charge less? How can we use these to help improve the training at our club and improve our outreach, and have opportunities for folks who attend Learn to Curls to continue to curl? And next year, we will, of course, welcome back our youth curlers. They have had a season off. We have a couple of curlers go to some regional and national events, but we certainly look forward to our youth curlers coming back to our facility and engaging and learning how to curl again. And frankly, kicking my butt on the ice. I'm looking forward to that too. We've said it before during this presentation, but a huge thank you to all of our members for being a part of our club. And we hope to see everyone next year. We can't wait to see you next year back at our club at this amazing facility that I still kind of can't believe we exist as an all-volunteer organization. And it's only due to you, our members, who put forth your time, your skills, and your money to make us the great facility and club and organization that we are today. Thank you to our operations team who keeps us up to date, keeps us maintained, keeps us in good shape, and has made us ready for next season. Thank you to our COVID-19 advisory group who share their incredible knowledge and expertise to help the board make informed decisions, to get us facts and information when we honestly, some of us, including me, are not experts, and we're kind of struggling to process everything that we were trying to learn. And thank you to our volunteers who supported our virtual events this year. It was so wonderful to spend time with everyone and to see everyone as we hunkered down in our homes to kind of some days pass the time and some days share a well-needed drink in this long year. I'll leave it at that. We do hope that you have a great summer. Our summer work parties are up in the air for the moment, so please keep an eye on your email for updates and volunteer opportunities. And now is the first break we have for questions and answers. If you have a question about this past year, please type it into the chat or raise your hand, and the floor is open. Seeing no hands and seeing no questions in the chat, we will go ahead and move on to our member awards.
Hey, Michael, sorry, can I interrupt and ask one question?
Absolutely, go ahead, Adam.
Hi, it's Adam Cap. I'm just curious if the board or the COVID advisory group have sort of thought at all about, you know, as we do return, will there be a strongly encouraged for people to be vaccinated, or what's the board's kind of thinking about that?
We'll go over that in the third part of today's presentation, talking about next year.
Awesome.
There is no official board position. My position is get your shot.
Thank you for that.
Benjo, thanks for your comment. Would it be possible to have some dry land brushing training over the summer? I will pass that on to our training team to see what opportunities there are and what kind of instructional materials there are. Because I'll be frank, I'm gonna need some brushing training, getting back up to speed. I might actually practice with Swiffer in my kitchen and a pair of socks. I will also, of course, need to, get back outside and start exercising so that when we come back in October, I, can last. And I'm the lucky one. I'm a skip. Hey, I sweep 6 feet at a time. All right. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Benjo. Moving on to member awards. This year, due to the unusual circumstances of this year, we did not have our traditional slate of awards. We chose to have a series of special awards for the 2020-2021 season, and to also award our Matthew C. Waddell Distinguished Curler Award, which we award every year. And we chose to continue to do that this year. Pardon me while I rearrange the windows on my screen. Special awards this year are presented in recognition of members' contributions during the unique and challenging 2020-2021 season. There we go. For our first award winner, as the curling world quickly came to a halt a year ago and disappointingly did not resume last fall, the world didn't stop. One of the most important things is to remember to take a deep breath, look around, and see how you can take a negative and turn it into a positive. One of our members spearheaded an effort to do just that. In addition to supporting our COVID-19 advisory group and leading one of our virtual events, this member led the Glitter Bomb Spiel, It's the Glitter Things That Count, virtual charity donation drive. Together, the team with our curling community raised over $3,730 for 19 LGBTQ+ organizations, and honestly raised the spirits of our entire curling community. For this work, we want to recognize Kyle Snyder with the first of our special awards for the 2020-2021 season. Our next award goes to our 2020 club maintenance team. They are the reason our facility is still working today. The reason we haven't had any burst pipes, the reason our lights still turn on, the reason we are in such good shape. And this dedicated group of people, they took care of the club while we were away during both the summer and the regular curling season. And they did it by themselves in order to limit people's potential exposure to COVID. They covered the workload that is usually completed by dozens of volunteers on multiple weekends throughout the summer. Without curling, they continued to work on the club, including performing critical maintenance while the entire park facility was closed to support COVID-19 efforts. Without them, there is no way that we could be looking at a fall start for the 2021 season. We are incredibly grateful to Ken Ray, Eric Clausen, and Craig Marquardt for their time and expertise to protect our facility that we all look forward to gathering it again. Thank you, Ken Ray, Eric Clausen, and Craig Marquardt. For our next award, 13 pages does not seem like a lot. But when those 13 pages of single-spaced text represent months of research, debate, discussion, and service to our club, it shows just how much these individuals care not only about our club, but about each and every member. This group put in countless hours of work to create a full advisory recommendation for COVID-19 restrictions and club policies. As public knowledge evolved throughout the summer of 2020, they digested frequent updates on the SARS-CoV-19 disease and translated non-curling information to the curling environment. It was a privilege to have both the depth and breadth of their experience within the group. This broad experience was critical to working through tough conversations as the group developed a recommendation. We are incredibly grateful for the engagement and the hard work of the entire COVID-19 advisory group. For their critical support of our community, we must recognize Kyle Snyder, Dawn Finley, Linda Kirkman, David Schlenger, Paul Luthi, Lauren Luthi, Jacob Well, and Gila Kempenich. Thank you for your past and continued support of the Potomac Curling Club. I'm sure that our next two award winners hope that their curling life and their professional life would never be tied quite so closely as they are after COVID-19. Together, their work on estimating the burden of COVID-19 symptoms among participants at the 2020 USA Curling Club Nationals Tournament had an impact on curling throughout the entire world. Their paper not only allowed us to share the outbreak information here at Potomac, but in part helped to shape USA Curling's plans for the 2020-2021 year. Dr. Paul Luthi was instrumental in the work necessary to complete this survey. The use of his institutional review board led to very quick review for human subjects research, which was invaluable to getting the survey out there and administered before many clubs opened this year. At a time when we still had very few facts, the Club National study helped to get accurate information to the right people. Now, Dr. Paul Luthi is listed as the author of the Club National study, but I want to read to you what he wrote about our other special award winner, Dr. Laura Yee. Dr. Laura Yee deserves a special award for her contributions to understanding the spread of COVID-19 at the US Club Nationals held at Potomac Curling Club. Due to policies in place at her professional workplace, Dr. Yee was unable to assign her name to the paper and the presentations. However, this study would not have gotten off the ground, been organized, data analyzed, and paper written without Dr. Yee. If able to include her as an author, Dr. Yee's name would be the first author. In scientific publishing, this is the individual who did the work and deserves the most recognition for the work. It is hard to express in a Google form, but I want to stress that I could not have done this without Dr. Yee. I hope that you present her with this award so that she can get credit for the tremendous amount of work that she has done for helping the curling community understand the ability for COVID-19 transmission at large club events. For their incredible service not only to our club, but the entire curling community, we are privileged to be able to recognize Dr. Paul Luthi and Dr. Laura Yee with a special award for the 2020-2021 season. Our next award winners' exemplary leadership of the COVID Advisory Committee during a difficult year was an essential service to our club. She led the group for Potomac, making time for us while being pulled in 1,000 different directions. I would have been groping around in the dark without her leadership and her advice. She always made herself available to any member to answer questions and help explain what we were seeing in news reports and research papers. Her expertise in the field, as well as her awareness of ongoing virus-related events, put her in a special position to lead the COVID advisory group, and she did a remarkable job. Leading is never easy, but she successfully pulled together a diverse group of advisors to get us the best possible information. For her leadership and her counsel, I am happy to recognize Lauren Luthi with a special award for the 2020-2021 season. Thank you, Lauren. Our final award today will be the Matthew C. Waddell Distinguished Curler Award. It is presented to a member in recognition of his or her ongoing dedicated service to the Potomac Curling Club. You can see on screen, we have given this award every year since 1992 in recognition of Mr. Waddell's distinguished service. And it is my honor to this year give out this award. Since this individual first joined the Potomac Curling Club in 2013, they have been a stalwart member of the Potomac Curling Club since day one, and is one of the key contributors to the quality of our ice. He has been a board member for the past 6 years and has greatly contributed to the success of our leagues, our programs, and our bonspiels. For most years, he was the operations committee chair and in charge of all the ice teams. He helped establish the remote monitoring of the ice shed and our equipment. He has troubleshot more chiller, heater, ice, and water issues than anyone, except maybe Ken Ray. And we all know that is a high standard. He was one of the first on the scene, as memory serves, and helped spearhead the recovery efforts during the January 2016 Snowzilla flood. He was the main force behind the replacement of our chiller this past year. He has given so much of his time and talent to the club during what seems like such a short time. I cannot imagine our club without this person being not only a member, not only a curler, but an integral part of our volunteer efforts. We only exist because of the hard work and dedication of members like this individual. And so I am proud to award this year's Matthew C. Waddell Distinguished Curler Award to Craig Marquardt. Thank you, Craig. Okay. Moving to the next topic on our agenda. Some very deserving folks in this field. We must move on to our election results. Once again, I want to thank our entire board of directors, including our outgoing members, J.R. Groves, Craig Marquardt, Judy Reskin, and Jennifer Martinelli, for their service this year and the past 3 years on the board of directors. It is one heck of a team, and it's one heck of a group to serve as the board of directors, and we will miss them. We look forward to their continued service to our club as volunteers. Thank you to our great nominating committee, Ben Keene, the chair, Bruce Black, our board liaison, Laura Yee, Kyle Snyder, and Dave Slanger. Thank you to all of our nominees for running. 4 directors will be elected to 3-year terms. And those folks are J.R. Groves, a returning board member, and 3 new board members, Rachel Brower, David Slanger, and Jeffrey Greck. Thank you for running. Congratulations on being elected, and welcome aboard. I can't wait to see you all at our first board meeting and get to the work of supporting our community. Okay, we're going to take a few moments and talk about the outlook for the future, our next curling season. So, next season, COVID. COVID is still with us. We do expect COVID will be with us for a while. So all of our plans are dependent upon local conditions and regulations. Our current plan is to open on time. We will do everything we need to do so that we can open on time and at full capacity. Our hope for the fall is that we will open at full capacity with full broom stacking and with no mask requirements. That is our hope. Over the course of this summer, we will be talking about public events, whether we should have them, should they be at a reduced scale, when should they happen? We will be talking about a mask requirement. Should we mandate mask use on the ice? Should we mandate mask use off the ice? We will also be discussing a vaccination requirement or a doctor's note. If we do choose to implement a vaccination requirement, we would likely allow exemptions with a doctor's note. That would not be specific as to why an individual has an exemption. It would simply need to state that, yes, this individual is exempt from the vaccination requirement. Now, that being said, the best thing that everyone on this call and everyone who's a member of our club can do is go get vaccinated. If it is safe for you to get a vaccine, unless you have an underlying medical condition or a doctor says you shouldn't get the vaccine, please go out, get the vaccine. Maryland, Virginia, and DC all have no appointment required walk-up vaccinations available. We need you to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Only by getting everyone vaccinated will we be able to open at full capacity and potentially with no masks. I would love to see everyone's face. I'm so tired of seeing masks. I would love to see everyone at the club, throwing rocks, sweeping hard, and enjoying snacks at the broom stacking table, and enjoying a cold frosty one too. If you can, please go get the vaccine. Next season, registration will look both the same and different. Membership registration will be via our current system and will open no earlier than August 1st, 2021. League registration will likely be via a new system and will happen after your membership registration. It will happen no earlier than August 22nd, 2021. And the first lottery and or sorting will happen no earlier than September 1st, 2021. As an FYI, after league registration, we do plan on importing that data into Curling Manager. So during the year, it will be the same Curling Manager system for scheduling, score reporting, etc. And at this time, there are no plans to change leagues or change time slots. That may change depending upon the summer survey, but we're going to start from the baseline of do what we did in 2019, 2020. And I see your hand. We'll get to you after the next slide. Quick overview of dates. August 1st, August 22nd, September 1st, we already went over. Preliminary ice target will be September 20th. That would mean Capital League qualifiers would be September 22nd, and leagues would start October 1st. Our first Bonspiel might be as early as October 8th. We have not determined what the Bonspiel schedule for next year is going to look like. We might start with glitter. We might choose to start with an internal Bonspiel to welcome everyone back to the club. And how can we help? What's your question?
Thanks, Michael, I appreciate it. So it's been a long time since we talked about how the lottery registration was going to work. And my explicit question, just to refresh my memory, is that part of the change to registration will or will not include the opportunity for people to change their membership level depending on whether or not the lottery falls out for leagues that they want to play in.
Honestly, Anne, I don't think that is explicitly stated in any of the proposals, but my intention is, of course, if you sign up as a full member and then you aren't able to get into the league you want to get into, we would absolutely be able to refund your money or be able to change you to a different level. 100%.
Perfect. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you so much for taking my question. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking. Going to next season, what are ways that you can help? Because we need your help. Obviously, keep an eye out for summer work parties. This being an Olympic year, it would be wonderful to have some Olympic media coordinators who can handle media requests and answer questions from all kinds of outlets, print, web, and video. We will be looking for some fundraising coordinators as we move into planning for the next 20 years and potentially raising significant amounts of capital. Bonspiel coordinators are always needed. Internal event coordinators, if you want to bring back turkey skins, if you want to help with Fling or Final Fling, if you want to help with Big Spiel, if you have an idea for a completely new internal event, we would love to hear it and love to help you run it. We are always looking for new merchandise designs. So if you have a great idea for a logo or a witty t-shirt or a new scarf, we want your idea. We would love to help you bring it to market and bring it to our club. We always need league coordinators, our website archiving team, our league registration team, which we could use some programming help with. I would love to get some additional help with programming the system. We will absolutely give you all the specs you need and be right there with you to answer any questions, give you UI diagrams, samples. We need your help and we will give you help. Of course, building ice always takes volunteers, and our ice teams may need some refreshing after a year off. So keep an eye on that, and please do consider joining one of our volunteer efforts. All right. At this time, I've been talking for 55 minutes and need a break. So first, are there any other questions about next season, the past season, anything we've covered so far in this annual meeting? Please raise your hand, type it into the chat. We love questions. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Here in Crickets, we are going to take a 10-minute recess. It is currently 4:55.
Hey, I have a comment.
Oh, Craig, absolutely.
Yeah, I realize I'm no longer a board member, but I was as a personal member. I would say the first thing we do as a club, having a Bonspiel seems a little bit wrong to me, just because, you know, it's still going to be a new world and inviting a whole bunch of outside people in. It just seems like going a little bit too far to start with. So I think we should maybe plan to do something else other than an outside Bonspiel.
Thank you, Greg. And that's one of the reasons we are the Bonspiel schedule entirely is an active item of discussion. Because you're right, it will definitely feel weird the first time we invite the public into our facility again, especially given the last time we had a Bonspiel. So it is an item under serious discussion, and I encourage you to attend the board meetings. Everyone is always welcome to attend the board meetings and contribute your opinion and your discussion to these topics. All right, now we're going to take a break. We will reconvene at 5:55 in about 7 minutes. Oh, sorry, 5:05. If you can't tell, sometimes I need an editor, and she's sitting right over there for now. So we will take a brief recess. We will reconvene in 7 minutes at 5:05 p.m. to talk about 2045. Mhm. Okay, welcome back, everyone. The next topic on our agenda is outlook for the future, 2022 to 2045. So, where do we stand, and kind of what are our big picture options moving forward? First, let's talk about our lease. Number one, our initial lease term expires in 2035, and then there are 2 5-year extensions available that are our choice to extend or not to extend. So really, the conclusion of our current lease is in 2045. I do want to quickly state that this is intended to be an overview presentation. Happy to, of course, answer questions and talk about this after the presentation, but we're not going to go too deep into any particular area or plan. The feasibility study performed by Mans Woodward identified several areas of opportunity in our current facility to make improvements or to make our facility more resilient. So looking at the exterior walls, some minor damage. The roof is in need of significant work. The warm room, about the carpet and the wall base and the ceiling grid, it's a detailed list and a professional evaluation of our facility, including things that I haven't noticed, like the floor tile in the kitchen. It's in fair condition, but it is a place where we can improve our facility. The big ones, of course, are the ice shed. We all know our catwalk is in need of significant repair. TGIH wall has always been a little bit drippy. The light fixtures are failing and parts are hard to find. Some of the doors are seeing the end of their 20-year lifespan since our facility was built in 2001. Also the recommendation for a new concrete floor and a new dehumidification duct system and a low E ceiling. Our existing electrical system does have the capacity for the proposed small additions. So we'll go further in, you'll see option 2B is considered the addition. Our ice system is actually overpowered for most of the season. When we're building ice, yeah, we need our gigantic 80 or 90 ton chiller. But in January, it is way more powerful than we need, and it's too powerful. So the recommendation is the addition of a heat exchanger in addition to some netting over the mechanical yard. So that's the evaluation of our existing facility. It's a 50+ page report. If anyone would like to read the whole thing, happy to provide you a copy. Just let me know. So let's talk about our options. And these options are broken out into 4 possibilities. One is option 1. That's a renovation. That's where we maintain the existing footprint of our facility. And this study is based on a 2-year timeline. So from the time we say go, it's about 2 years until it's complete. Option 2B is where we renovate the existing facility and we add an addition on for more locker rooms, more warm room space, and our own dedicated bathrooms. Option 2C is an expansion. We add 2 sheets to our facility. That one's got a 3-year timeline on it from the day we say go. And then option 3 is to actually move from our current facility and build a new 6-sheet facility. Again, on a 3-year timeline. This option was really included just as an order of magnitude, and so that we could compare costs of expansion, addition, and new facility. Again, this is not a full briefing and debate. There will be additional opportunities this summer to learn and discuss Great news is TGIH is 100% supportive of our efforts to renovate or expand. They actually consider us to be a feather in their cap sometimes, so they would love to see us do well. They encourage us to move forward and are fully supportive of our efforts. Some future milestones that are kind of tripping points. One will be is the support of Maryland Parks and Planning. They're the ones who run our park. We're on their land. And then another item will be tree encumbrances and parking capacity. The initial evaluation is that there's plenty of parking, but we need to get that verified. Trees will be an interesting topic of conversation because the trees may be encumbered by a different project. So if we chop these trees down, we may have to encumber other trees elsewhere. This is our existing site. You'll see the, excuse me, the Gardens Ice House is in red. The Potomac Curling Club at the bottom is also in red. And as we zoom in, you will see the potential area for expansion outlined in black. So that's what we're talking about. It's actually not, compared to the size of TGIH, it's a very small expansion, but we can in some cases be doubling our footprint. So let's talk about option one, renovation. This is where we maintain the existing footprint of our facility. Nothing moves. It's all about updating and repairs. These have been broken out into our various areas by Mans Woodward for us. You'll see general conditions. The concrete ice floor is estimated at about $300,000. Lighting in the ice shed, about $100,000. This does include fixing the grid in the warm room, the ceiling grid. It includes updating the kitchen to commercial grade equipment, replacing the carpet. It includes everything that Mans Woodward identified as an area for improvement. And here's the big numbers. Again, this is just for option one, renovation. The grand total at the bottom of your screen is $1.5 million. That includes everything. That includes no volunteer work. It includes escalation. It includes contingencies. This is the actual big number of what it would cost us to completely refresh our facility. Let's talk now about option 2B. 2B is where we put an addition on the club, but we don't add any ice. I'll highlight the big changes. So one, it includes all the previous renovations, concrete floor, heat exchanger, et cetera. It expands the kitchen into the current women's locker room, and the men's locker room becomes storage, which I would love to have more storage up front. And then down on the old Gunpowder Road side, that's where we put an addition on with a connector. The connector gets us over the existing sewer and drainage lines. And then we have a new building basically with toilets, locker rooms, and it's called a meeting room space, but it's basically more warm room space for tables, stretching, anything we would need. So this is option 2B, where we put an addition on the building. We get bigger locker rooms that are 250% the size of our current locker rooms, and we get bathrooms. Woo, bathrooms. Option 2C is expansion. This is the big one. This is where we take our current facility and we expand from 4 sheets to 6 sheets. We add on 2 sheets on the south side of our facility, on the old Gunpowder side of our facility, and then also add larger locker rooms, bathrooms, a viewing area. Again, we would expand the kitchen into the current locker rooms. And then on the old Gunpowder side, we extend the warm room down. We have bathrooms, 640 square foot locker rooms. Our current locker rooms are about 180 square feet. Mechanical, janitorial, and a viewing gallery. Finally, option 3. Option 3 is the new building. By the estimate of Man's Woodward, we would need approximately a 4-acre site, about 2 acres for stormwater management and forestry stands, and then an acre for the parking lot and an acre for the building. The building is a lot like the expansion option with warm room, bar, kitchen, bathrooms, locker rooms, everything we need. What are the numbers? Option 1, $1.5 million. The addition is $2.6 million. The expansion is $4 million. And to move and build a new facility is approximately $9.4 million. Now, those are some big numbers, but what do those mean to us in terms of our income, our expenses, our membership dues, et cetera? I want to stress that these are preliminary numbers. These are options for ways we can make this work. We will continue to explore these, and these are ways to inform our discussion moving forward. Bo, do you want a question now or a question later?
Yeah, it's just a quick one because I was hoping to see the first slide on option 2B again, because I saw the right. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I was just curious to see how the existing warm room would look, and it looks like there's not really any change to the existing warm room. We just sort of have an additional meeting hall / warm room. Is that pretty much the idea?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Option 1, business plan. Our current full member dues are $495 a year. Option 1, which is the renovation, we are able to do at our current membership level and at our current full member dues. We will make this presentation available afterwards. You can see on the right, we have, you know what, I can annotate here. Stamp arrow. Oh, that thing's tiny. All right. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we have total cost, cash on hand. Let's see, we fundraise nothing. We borrow $1 million. So the difference between our existing profit per year and the new cost, which is this yearly payment number, we're actually in the green, $7,000. So we don't need to increase membership fees. We don't need to grow. We don't need to get more rental income. We don't need donations. We don't have to change any of these numbers. So renovation is within our existing budget with no changes. Let's talk about option 2B. This is the plan with the addition. We have made these calculations both with and without setting aside $40,000 a year in salary for a part-time facility manager. And we've made these models based on raising $500,000 in donations. And here's the gist of it. It all depends on what you do with rentals. If you double our rental income, you take our rental income from $38,000 a year, which is an average for the past 5 years, and you make it $80,000 a year, and you do not add a salary for a facility manager, full member dues only need to be $509. That's a very small change. If instead we only see a 30% increase in our rental income, either by having more rentals or by increasing our rental fee, that means with no facility manager, it's about $623 a year. Or if we add on a facility manager, it's about $796 a year. You can see that we do account for changes based on facility size, additional expenses, electrical, water, heating, etc., repairs. So this is our best first model for what our income and expenses would look like if we choose to build an addition. Option 2C is where we have the expansion. This is moving to this is expanding our club to a 6-sheet facility. The assumptions here build in $60,000 for a part-time facility manager. It builds in raising $1 million for donations. Of course, because with more sheets, we can have more members. It assumes a 40% increase in membership. And the big number is here. In today's dollars, we would need to raise dues to about $866 for a full member to meet our expenses. Now, this does not account for any change in annual donations, any sponsorships. We have zeroed all of that out for these models. So this is one way the club could raise the money to fund an expansion from 4 sheets to 6 sheets. If we were to raise more in donations, if we were to raise more in 0 interest bonds, then that number comes down. We have built a spreadsheet to help us model all this information, and we are happy to share it so that you can play with the numbers and create your own models for, well, if we do this with rentals, if we do this with events, if we raise this much money with annual donations, what does the full member cost look like? And we would love to share these with you and have you build your own models. I'm going to answer some questions from the chat. Jennifer Ying, is the $40,000 a year salary for a facility manager a full-time position estimate? It is a part-time estimate. It is based on paying someone to maintain the ice every day, plus a few other hours to maintain the facility and to build ice in the fall. So it is not a full-time position. It is a part-time position. It is the minimum we would expect to cost us to have a part-time facility manager. Laura Yee, the job description of facility manager would be to maintain the ice, all the scraping, and then do whatever else we need to do. Again, it would be a part-time position, but since there are 6 sheets, there will be more hours required. Moving on to option 3, again, I want to stress this was part of the feasibility study simply as an order of magnitude. Building this model, I did cap full member dues at $1,000 a year, just to not get too crazy. It would require $2.3 million in donations and $4 million in interest-free bonds, which is a ton. So my initial reaction to these numbers is it is not feasible. We did not expect it to be feasible, but this informs the discussion about what would building a new facility look like. And the last piece of information, we did a very quick analysis of a couple curling clubs in our region and how our full membership fee compares. You can see that we compared it against Utica, Triangle, Charlotte, Broomstones, and Pittsburgh, listing their membership fee, which range anywhere from our low of $495 to a high at Pittsburgh of $875. And then we translate that using cost of living into what is the equivalent dollar value in the DC area and in the Baltimore area. The actuality probably falls somewhere in the middle, but we have put both of them into this table so that we can be informed about that. You'll see that our current membership fee is actually pretty low compared to our partners up and down the East Coast. reading these tables, there's either room for a little bit of an increase or room for a lot of an increase. Now, that does not take into account our current membership. It does not take into account how our current membership would feel about a raise in dues. These are all important, critical elements of any renovation, expansion, or addition plan. These are additional data points to help inform our discussion as we go forward. Bo, to answer your question in the chat, you asked, apologies if this was covered, do we have a sense of how many members we expect to return in the fall? And the short answer to that is we don't know. Personally, I would expect that all 180 people who signed up for this past season when we were closed, I would expect all of them to return. But folks who didn't sign up for membership this year, we simply don't know. And we don't know if surveys this summer will do a good job of informing us about those numbers. We're probably just going to have to open and see who comes. I do want to emphasize there is no plan to change the membership fee levels for the fall 2021. I anticipate using the same membership fee levels for 2021 as we did in 2019. That is the conclusion of this presentation about the next 20 years, about our outlook for the future. Please ask questions. If you have comments, we would love to hear them, love your feedback.
Has there been any talk about paying people to staff?
Can you speak up, please? I'm having trouble hearing you. Scott, will this whole PowerPoint be made available? Yes, we will make this whole presentation available, and I would expect to post this entire annual meeting on YouTube. Kyle, the timeline for a decision on these proposals has not been determined yet. The part of that answer is the estimates built into the Man's Woodward feasibility study were assuming once we made a decision, it was about either 2 years or 3 years from the time we made a decision to the time construction was complete. Laura Yee, your question about has there been any talk about paying people to staff rentals? There has not been any talk at the board level in the past several years about this. Honestly, I would love to see it if we could find a core group of folks who would be willing to work for, I'll throw a number out there, $20 an hour or $30 an hour to staff weekday rentals. We could easily raise additional money via rentals. Honestly, the biggest financial contribution a member can make is volunteering at rentals. Because if you take the $2 grand we make from a 4-sheet rental, divide that by the 8 people who work it, we're making $400 per volunteer at a rental. That's almost your entire full membership due. Rentals are a key component of any financial planning for our club. Kyle, to address the other part of your question is, when do we anticipate making a decision as a club for what option do we want to pursue? That is undecided. I would hope that we can make a decision in the next 6 months. Or at least choose to pursue option 2B or option 2C, that's the addition or the expansion, before the Olympics comes around, so that we can be ready to fundraise with a concrete plan when the Olympics hits, because that is too rich of an opportunity to pass up and won't come again for 4 years. Are there any other questions or comments? Would anyone like to take the floor to bring up a different topic? Benjo, question is, any summer socials? We do not have plans at the moment for any summer socials. It kind of depends on COVID and how our members are feeling. I would love to see the mini golf or the golf tournament happen, anything that's outdoors. We would love to have your help in coordinating those, but that will be a discussion point at a future board meeting. Heck, maybe we can have disc golf. No. Okay. Hearing no other questions, no other raised hands, I want to thank everyone for coming to our annual meeting.
Michael, I have a point of business.
Sure, go ahead.
Don't we have to officially approve the minutes, or at least note that they're approved by the by the membership? The minutes from the last meeting?
The annual meeting.
You know, I thought that was, I thought I had that on a slide earlier, but clearly I did not. So we should note that the minutes from last season were approved via the election and via the online voting system that was also used for the election. They will be published on our website. Thank you, Craig. Hearing no other business and no other requests for the floor, I will go ahead and close this meeting, the 2021 annual meeting of the Potomac Curling Club. Once again, thank you to everyone for attending. Thank you for contributing just by being here and showing your interest in our club and in supporting our club and all the work it takes to keep our amazing facility and our tremendous club running with all volunteers so far. It continually astounds me that we exist, that we have ice, and that we are such a wonderful group of people. Thank you for coming, and I sincerely hope to see you at the summer board meetings and in the fall at our first growing event. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.